Hey y'all, it's Grace or Jana. Y'all can call me either one. And welcome to another episode of Conversations with Grace. Look, y'all, we got a lot of awesome questions tonight. And we're going to go ahead and get straight into it because I'm here to encourage you, inspire you, empower you, uplift you, and bring you out of that darkness right into God's marvelous light. So let's get with the first question. Um, the 3 month rule. What is it and how can it shape the future of your relationship? Now that was interesting. When they said the 3 month rule, I'm like, what 3 month rule? What 3 month rule are you talking about? Because everybody doesn't have the same 3 month rule. So a 3 month rule is whatever we're talking about relationships. So it's whatever rule that is like a probationary period. Okay. So what is your particular rule for your probationary period if you have a probationary period, right? And so let me see if you had anything else. No, it was plain and simple. What is the 3 month rule? So look, you are the one who determines the boundaries and the construct of your relationship. Nobody else determines that. What are your standards? Right? Some people might say, in the first 3 months, I want to see how consistent you are with calling me. Do you continue to call me consistently? At the same time, do you have a routine? You know, I want to see if this is consistent. If it doesn't last past 3 months, then you're not consistent. You know, let's see if you go past 3 months with opening the door when we go on dates. Is at the fourth month mark, do you just stop opening the door for me? You know, do you stop taking me out on dates after 3 months? So, I don't want to tell you what your 3 month rule is. I don't even want to assume that I know what you're talking about, but you are the person who does the construction or the construct or the structure of your relationship. I cannot tell you that, right? So really with me for 3 months is consistency to see if I will continue. And some people not going to get past 3 weeks with me. And actually, I'm talking about when I was dating, you know, after 3 weeks, if I saw that you was inconsistent, then we're done. And so I don't know what your 3 month rule is. It's different for everyone. So the next question is about dealing with daily struggles. Why does each day feel like a battle in your relationship and how can you regain control? So you just said, why is every day or why is it a struggle every day? Look, life is full of challenges, right? Life is full of challenges. Every day is not always going to be smooth. However, there are some challenges that you are supposed to overcome at some point. You should not be struggling in the same area over and over and over and over again. However, there are some areas that you may be struggling with over and over again. For instance, I might struggle with time, right? But it just depends. And and it's not I do like, look, when it comes to time, I'm like, okay, please, I need a grace period. Okay, please give me a grace period. But when it comes to somebody who was like, you know what? Ain't no grace period. You either come on time or you miss out. So when it comes to with me, if I can see that you're on time and you are not, letting no lenience go by with nobody else, I'm gonna take you serious. But when I start seeing you just have certain rules for me, but nobody else, then I'm questioning your integrity and your character with that. So with me, generally a lot of people are not on time. And so that's the people who I'm around a lot of time, people who are not on time. But that's okay with me with certain situations. Certain situations it's okay for me not to be on time. However, I have improved. I've definitely improved with that. But as far as an everyday struggle, I've had different struggles in life, especially when it came to cleaning at one time when I was depressed, right? It was very difficult for me to clean because I wasn't going through postpartum depression. I was depressed in my pregnancy. And so what I had to do was get advice from some close friends. And it was just like, how about you just hire a cleaner? Hire a cleaner. I was like, wow, that's a good idea. And so what did I do? Before I hired a cleaner, I asked my mom to come and help me. And she was a great help. Excuse me. And so my mom couldn't come over every week, but a cleaner could, or every other week. So, there are methods that we can use in order to overcome our struggles. We don't have to continue struggling in certain areas, and you got to be open about your struggles. There might be someone around you who is stronger than you in a certain area. So you need to reach out to that person who is stronger than you so that they can help you. Some people struggle with prayer. They know they need to pray. They know they need to read their Bible, but they just don't have an interest in it like they should. Right? It's a struggle. Sometimes like even tonight, like I know I needed to pray and I just did not feel like it, but I don't know. I have an inward motivation. Like, praise God, I have an inward motivation that helps me to pray. But I had to pray for that too. Like I said, Lord, please help me to pray. Give me a desire to pray. Surround me around praying women, and that helps me to pray. So there are solutions if you are really trying to get over those struggles. You really don't have to stay in it, right? There are solutions that can help you through that. So we're going to go to the next question. But like I was about to say, it's just how bad do you want it? Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna go to the next question, but how bad do you want it? For real. How bad do you want to get over that challenge that you've been struggling with every single day? How bad do you want it? That determines if you're gonna get over it or not. In the power of God, of course. But how do you feel? I'm sorry, how do you find healing and make decisions after discovering infidelity? So this is coping with a cheating husband. You know what? This is something that I ask myself, or I ask that person when I hear this question all the time. I mean, when I tell you the women who enter the group, 50% of the women are trying to get over a cheating husband or a cheating boyfriend, somebody who's cheating, a lot of betrayal. My question is like, what would they say to you if they found out that you were cheating on them? Because I think it's, depending on who you are with, if they would stay with you, it might encourage you to stay with them. And what I mean by that is sometimes a spouse might cheat on you, right? And they might cheat on you over and over and over again. You've never cheated back. But the day that you cheat back, their world is crushed. Like their world is crushed. But then they feel like, well, you can't really use me cheating on you no more. Well, how about this? How about, you cheated, I cheated. Let's just start over. You know, I'm not encouraging you to cheat back. But sometimes when your spouse feels the same way you felt, I'm not telling you to get revenge. I'm not telling you to get revenge. What I'm saying is ask your spouse, how would he feel if you cheated on him? How would he feel? Well, he'll say, I couldn't deal with that. If he cheated on me and then if he said he couldn't deal with me cheating on him, then I'm like, the loyalty, that with me, it would be just like, I don't know. I don't know if I could continue, because why should I? Because I don't have to. I legally don't have to. I morally don't have to. I don't spiritually have to do this. So the fact that you're telling me that you wouldn't stay with me, being completely honest, but then what if he was like, well, I would, I would want to work it out. If he said he would want to work it out, then that would honestly, it probably make me feel differently. I don't even if he wasn't being honest, right? It would make me feel differently. But look, in most cases, coping with a cheating husband, deal with a cheating husband. This man has been doing it over and over again because you said cheating. This hadn't been just one time and we're not doing it again. This has been multiple. And so I wouldn't deal with it. If you want to protect your sanity, if you want to protect your heart so you don't end up growing bitter over the years, how you been faithful to somebody who is not staying faithful to you and doesn't care how you feel, you may end up growing bitter and having resentment because he might end up leaving you. He might end up leaving you at an older age, and you probably thinking, whoa, if I would have just left a long time ago, I've been hurting all this time. If I would have left a long time ago, I could have probably found somebody who may have loved me for who I am and cherished our marriage. So my thing is, as far as dealing with a cheating husband, I wouldn't deal with it. I'm not even going to advise you to deal with it. I'm sure life will be much more beautiful without you constantly getting betrayed. Life it can be beautiful without someone who's completely betraying your trust and not caring. So I wouldn't deal with that. That's what I was saying. Don't deal with it. Next question. And it's about when a man loves you but only sometimes. You said, why does it feel like like love is conditional? And how can you navigate this emotional roller coaster? Let's see if you added anything else with that. No, you just said, how can a man love you sometimes? So, because it depends on what type of love it is. There are different types of love. I know there is this erotic love, right? It's an erotic love. I think that's like a sexual love, an intimate love. There's phileo. I think that's friendship. I know there is agape love, and that's like unconditional love. And then there is, I think the way that a mother, like brotherly love, or the way a mother and a father love their children. So there are different types of love. And when it comes to why does somebody love you, sometimes a lot of those loves are conditional, right? A lot of those loves honestly are conditional. The one where somebody loves you regardless is agape love because they choose to love you. They choose to love you. Love is a choice. That type of love is a choice to continue loving you regardless. And how do you love other people, right? Do you surround yourself with people who know how to love unconditionally? That is not an easy task, but it's something that we can grow at, loving each other all the time. And so you just need to make a decision that you want to be around someone who is practicing constantly loving you, right? The people who you, and then you said, how can a man love you just sometimes? It's dependent on the man who you're talking about. Because there are men who love unconditionally. There are men like they don't just love their children sometimes. They love their children all the time, right? There are some men who love their wives all the time. So it just depends on who you are surrounding yourself with. And I'm not blaming you, but with this, you all, we got to get to know people for real. We got to get to know people. That just remind me of when the Lord says, my people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. Because of a lack of knowledge, now you feel like, how can somebody love me? How can somebody only love me sometimes? You got to figure out, you got to get to know who can constantly love you. And of course, God can constantly love you, but we're talking about people, people who are mature in love, people whose love is constant. That takes time. In this day and age, we're trying to rush everything. It takes time to build relationships with people. And I'm talking not talking about having sex with them, because that takes time too, even in a marriage, to get to know this person's body. That stuff takes time, because this person's body ain't like maybe the other bodies that you done tried out. So it takes time. We need to take time to get to know who we are dealing with, who we are trying to have a relationship with. We need to take time to get to know one another. And so the next question is about navigating a disconnected marriage. So you said after 24 years of marriage and never feeling accepted, what's next when your partner still prioritizes someone even in death? Oh, wow. Even in death. Okay, so you had a lot more that you wanted to say with this. You said, my mother-in-law never accepted me, which I found out after my marriage. My husband still got married and made me his wife, but since after my marriage, he was not the same person. Mm. He just kept his mom happy, ignoring me. Even after her death, he is still the same. He's so disconnected with me, even though it's been 24 years of marriage. That is awful. That is awful. Even after 24 years of marriage, you could never get back the person who you fell in love with. It's unfortunate. The fact that you said your mother-in-law never accepted you and your mother-in-law is actually passed away, it definitely tells me that you still got some hurt by the way that she treated you. And so obviously I'm going to advise that you get some counseling to help you heal from that trauma, because even after she passed away, and this is probably how you felt, maybe he might start showing me more attention. Look, you didn't say it right now, but the fact that you brought that up, I'm sure you would have hoped he would have paid you more attention and treated you differently, since you're the one who he should have been cleaving to. He should have left his mother and his father and cleaved or united with his wife when he got married, but he stayed united with his parents. And you were thinking that maybe, and it's not that you were hoping she passed away, she just did, but you were just assuming that now, I will be able to connect with him and he will allow me in. But then you discover that he's still not allowing you in. And so this is difficult. This is difficult to stay in something like this. And of course, you may have heard about trying counseling, but listen, we need friends. If we want to stay with our husband and counseling hasn't worked, we need friends. We need purpose. Because if you want to stay with your husband, that's why you bringing this question to me. That means you don't want to get a divorce. You want to make this work. And you haven't mentioned that he's done anything else except being extremely disconnected from you. But, I don't know what every day looks like in your life. But what I can say is purpose. Purpose can help you stay in an unhappy marriage. You can start putting all of your energy and focus into something that God may want you to do. You can look at that. You can love your husband, you can care for him, but then as you dive into your purpose, you are going to see that there are other people who God wants you to connect with. There are other people who God wants you to pour into, and there are other people who will pour into you. And then maybe, I'm not saying for sure, but maybe he might be interested in your purpose once you found it. Because he is not your purpose. Your purpose is bigger than him. And so sometimes we have to make our husbands interested in us, interested in what we're doing. And of course, I'm going to tell you to pray. It's difficult. Sometimes, like, when we say I've been trying for so long, if we're honest with ourselves, we may have been trying the wrong way. We may have been trying the way that we knew how, but that's not always the right way. Maybe you've tried talking to him, but he cannot hear. He cannot hear anything you're saying. And so it's like we feel like we've worn ourselves out because we try to talk to him and we're trying to express our feelings and we're trying to help him understand, but he's not hearing us. So why are you still talking? And that's what I had to say to myself. Why are you still talking? Why are you still talking to someone who can't hear nothing you're saying? You're wearing yourself out. And that's what I had to tell myself about certain topics, right? Because what all that talking you were doing, which was causing further frustration, you could have been on your knees praying. You could have been praying from your heart. You could have been pouring it all out to God, but instead you were talking. Only God can open somebody's ears up. Only God can open somebody's eyes, so that they can see. Not you. And so when I'm telling you not you, I'm saying that to me too. And so a lot of times we're trying the wrong way. And so I will also encourage you to get a prayer partner who is serious about it and not just, somebody who has no interest in it, but somebody who has overcome it too, who is honest that they're overcoming, that they've been through the hard times. They've overcome certain hard times, so they know how to fight in their prayer room. It doesn't mean they don't have hard times now. It just means that they know how to fight for their marriage differently than what they used to do before. So look, I hope you wrote that down, because what you're dealing with is a hard one, especially if he hasn't cheated on you. Try differently, do something different. Hopefully something I suggested will work for you. The next question is about knowing when to marry. It says, how do you know when it's the right time to tie the knot? How do you know when it is the right time to tie the knot? So it was simple what you asked. You just said, how does one know when to marry? Look, you got to be sure about this person. We have discernment. We have our intuition. As believers in Christ, we have discernment. We have to use it. We have to use it. We cannot ignore the signs. God gonna tell you. He gonna tell you. And you either gonna listen or you're not. And even if you're not a believer in God, God is a loving God, and he still talks to people who don't believe in him. And so that's what we call intuition. You're going to know if your feelings are telling you something that your mind is telling you not yet. Your mind needs that logic and that emotion. It need to line up with what God is telling you. And like I said, let's say you don't believe in God. That logic, that emotion, and that intuition. Many people, as a wedding officiant, are getting married way too soon. I know when somebody is getting married too soon. I can look and see when somebody should not be getting married. But hey, this is your choice. And you got to do what you want to do. Now, there are some couples I'm just not going to marry. But Look, marriage is serious, y'all. A lot of people don't know what it is. It's not, listen, if you gonna get married and you just gonna be cheating on something, don't get married. Just stay in a long-term relationship. If you're going to get married and you're like, well, I'll take this, I'll take that, but I ain't taking that. And if it's not infidelity, of course, infidelity is a no-brainer. We're not doing that. But anything else, listen, you got to get to know somebody. You need to know their finances. You need to know their criminal background. If they got a background, you need to know how this person drives, speed and tickets. You need to do your investigation, because a lot of people get married and they're like, who did I marry? Like that one lady who asked about the 3-month rule. 3 months ain't enough for me to get to know you and say, okay, we're married. No, that's not enough time. That might be enough time to say, okay, we can continue dating after this 3 months. But listen, like, I don't know if y'all seen that live therapy session, but like my friend Abigail, after she went through what she went through, she met the guy in October of 2023, got married in May of 2024. The guy wanted a divorce after 1 month. Listen, marriage ain't no joke. The heartbreak is real. People don't want to be looked at as a person who can't keep no commitment. Listen, and I'm glad you asked this question, because it takes time. You got to get a chance to know somebody and knowing when someone is being serious. Just like that probationary period of, let me see how true you are. Let me see. And honestly, I don't know if people can take this long, especially without not having sex. Some people can, but it gets hard after a year. But I need a year to know if you are being consistent. And then don't tell them. Do not tell somebody if you have a probationary period, because they waiting. Okay. They say, okay, I got 3 months. I got 3 months. Don't tell them. Because as soon as that 3 month hit, as soon as that 6 month hit, the devil done showed up. Or as soon as the month after, because they knew you only had 3 months. They might even be slick to wait 6 months if you tell them 3 months for their true colors to come out. So look, that marriage one, do marriage counseling. If you don't have a church, I'm sorry, premarital counseling. If you don't have a church that you can go to get premarital counseling, because if you do it at church, they're probably going to want to marry you, and a lot of churches require it. But you can also, I do premarital counseling because I can do that. But you can also get it through your counselors with your insurance to do some premarital counseling. But it is needed. Let me tell you, questions will be asked that sometimes, actually most times, you would not have even thought about. And so we're going to go to the next question. I'm sorry, y'all. Been a little tongue twisted tonight. It's about respect and relationships. It says, why do men sometimes ignore the feelings of the women they love, and what can you do about it? That's a good question. It's a really good question. I can tell you what I think. You added to this. Why don't men respect women all the time? When she tells you something really bothers her, but he also tells you how much he loves you. So basically, why doesn't he believe what you're saying? Yet he says, I love you. I get you. I understand you 100%. They don't believe you. They ain't listening. They don't care. A lot of times, people don't believe what you're saying. You're like, oh, they don't believe you. Like, if you tell them, I really need a hug right now, they're like, man, all right. And then they give you a little hug. And you're like, that's not the type of hug I wanted. Like, what I was trying to say is I want affection. thought about something. It was so funny after I did it because I was like, my husband. Look, my husband was leaving one morning for work, and I said something like, "Why you don't ever, why you don't ever show that you love me? Why you don't love me?" And he said, "I do love you. What you talking about?" And I was like, "Why didn't you give me no kiss?" I did not listen. I equated love with affection. Okay, I wasn't clear with what I was wanting. I just said, "Why you don't love me?" That is not. He never said he didn't love me. What did I wanted a kiss. And then sometimes, he does give me kisses, but I'll be wanting another one. And so, I don't know how your relationship is with your boyfriend or your spouse or whatever, but he says that she loves you. So the thing is, he may not know your love language. Like, he may not know your love language, and the way that he is showing love, that doesn't really speak love to you. Even though he's doing this, but that's not what really sticks out to you. You might be a person who likes servitude. So, getting you some breakfast every morning. My husband give me breakfast every morning, and I like when he gives me breakfast. I mean, yeah, that's some good stuff in it. My husband has started spoiling me for real, and I've noticed when I act like a little spoiled brat. But I love when my husband will go get me breakfast and I don't have to ask. My husband loves when I will get him some food or cook food for him and he doesn't have to ask. Y'all, we got to be more intentional about this stuff because the thing is, the way he's expressing his love to you, you want something else. And what you might want, he just may not feel like doing it. So it doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. It just means that he doesn't feel like expressing his love the way that you want him to, because that's just not something he don't care about that. And so that's why love is selfless. We got to think more of the other person than ourselves. Because if I don't care about you cooking for me, you ain't got to do that. I want a hug. I want a kiss. I want quality time. I do like gifts and stuff, but you know, I like quality time. I prefer us to go out shopping together than for you to just buy me something. But now if you do buy me something, I want you to buy me something that I actually like, especially if you're spending a lot on it. Cuz that shows that you're being thoughtful. And but we got to communicate. That's the thing. And so going back to your question, you said, why doesn't he respect you all the time? Like, you tell him that something bothers you. He just doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it because it doesn't bother him. Or maybe you don't do to him what he does to you. So he doesn't even get a chance to experience um, how that is bothering you. So let's go ahead to the next question. Yeah, I think we're almost done. Kinda. The next question is about returning to an ex. And you said, should you get back with an ex even when they couldn't meet your needs? Okay, awesome question. Awesome question, because many times we forget why we left. And so your question, it says, if you love someone and miss them when you've broken up with them, should you sacrifice the needs they can't meet and get back together with them? No. That one's simple. No. Because it caused the problem before, it's going to cause it again. It doesn't, I mean, why are you sacrificing your needs? Why can't they just sacrifice, you know, not being lazy, or not, they may not be lazy, but they just might be into themselves. Why can't they get over themselves and give you your needs? Because even at the same time, they may not that might be too much pressure for them. Your needs might be too much for them. But if you've been complaining about them not being able to meet your needs, you already know that's the argument that's waiting to happen. So, look, don't do it. You should not return to that ex. Very simple. Let's go to the next question. It's about trust and betrayal. How do you confront the possibility of your partner cheating, and how do you handle the truth? Ugh. So, you got to be ready to find out. Listen, a lot of times women say, I'm not finna look because I don't want to know. I'm not about to look because I don't want to find out. I'm not finna go snooping for nothing because if I find out, I'm going to just get mad and I'm not going to leave. So you got to be ready. You got to put it in your mind and say, listen, I'm suspecting this man is cheating. If I find out he's cheating, I am going to leave. I've made up in my mind, I've made up in my heart that I will not stay with somebody who cheating on me. Okay? And then you got to test that. So let's see if you said anything else with this. You said, what can you do? You really trust your boyfriend, whatever you say his name is. You really trust your boyfriend is cheating on you. Then you find out for sure you're stressed. I don't know exactly what that meant. Okay, so what can you do? You really trust your boyfriend is cheating on you. Then you find out. I don't know. I don't know exactly what you were trying to say, but let's just stick to this one right here. I try to rephrase the questions that I can't really understand. How do you confront the possibility of your partner cheating? To me, it sounded like you trusted your boyfriend. You didn't think he would cheat on you. Then you found out he was cheating on you. Now you stressed out. Or you might think that he's cheating. Just simply ask him, are you cheating on me? How does he respond? Do you have somebody else you're looking at other than me? I better not. Can I look through your phone? Can I look through your Facebook messages? Can I look through your WhatsApp? Let me look through your email. He might want to know, why do you suspect that I'm cheating? And then you give him these reasons, and then he might say, look, but I don't, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, why don't you trust me? You know, but if he's kind of hesitant or resistant, I would question that. Listen, betrayal is not it's awful, but the thing is, the sooner you find out, the better. And the sooner you get in your mind you're not staying with nobody who's gonna cheat on you, that is better for you, because there is someone out here who loves you and who will love you for you. And a lot of times women stay with men because they don't think they can get anything better, or they don't want to waste time trying to see what else is in the ocean, see what other fish are out there. And the thing is, you don't have to go searching. You know, you don't have to go searching. Work on healing. Work on healing. A lot of men jump from relationship to relationship. I don't know why, but they act like they cannot be alone for no time. And don't even let that, because that get to you. A lot of times people are like, well, if I leave him and then he's with somebody else, then it's gonna make me so mad. But the thing is, he's not healed, so he is going to bring his pain into another relationship. And I'm not saying that that's good for that person, but you got to realize a lot of men jump into relationships unhealed. So don't let that deter you from leaving the relationship and then feeling bad because you see him with someone else. You know that he's not healed. And so you want to get healed. Stress about it. The stress part, just say, okay, he might be cheating, and what? You know. But that's a mind thing. You gotta, if he's cheating, okay. But it's not something that you do one time. Do it over and over and over and over and over again. And accept it. Every time you do it, don't think about it and worry and get stressed. Think about it and be like, okay, if he's cheating, I can't change that. I accept that that's what he did. That don't mean I'm gonna stay with him. but I accepted that. And then that does not mean I'm not a good woman. That just talks about who he is at this time. So talk to me more. Like, you know, my inbox. Uh, you know how to find me. If there's anything else you need to know about that, we can talk. Last question is about love versus abuse. The question is, when love is mixed with emotional and verbal abuse, when is the right time to walk away, especially when your partner is going through hardships? Hmm, that's interesting. Let's see if you said, okay, you said a lot more with this. You said, if I'm so in love, but emotionally and verbally abused a lot of the times, when should I call it quits? My husband has lost all his family. His last family member, older brother by 11 months, passed away on my husband's birthday this year. I know he is going through a lot. Um, he has nobody but me, but sometimes it's so hard to want to stay. He is an amazing man 90% of the time. I know nobody is perfect either. We were raised differently on like morals, respect, loyalty, and what love really is. I believe I know the answer, but sometimes we just need the advice of others. So that's interesting. You said he is an amazing man 90% of the time. Because when you say that, I'll say, okay, he's going through a hard time right now. You know, he's going through a hard time. He's emotionally abusive and he's verbally abusive. But 90% of the time, he's amazing. And so that kind of reminds me of when a woman is pregnant. Okay. It don't happen to a lot of women, but I know women, they have very tough pregnancies and they are not fun to be around. I know probably in my pregnancy, I was, like I told y'all before, I was depressed at one point. I probably was not fun to be around, but that was probably like 10% of that year, right? Because it wasn't the whole pregnancy, right? And that was a time that we had to go through. And I'm thankful that my husband went through it with me. But the other part of your question that kind of made me like, concerns me a little bit. You said you know nobody is perfect either. Why did you say that? I know nobody is perfect either. Then you said we were raised differently on like morals, respect, loyalty, and when you say nobody is perfect and we were raised different on morals and loyalty, to me it sounds like some infidelity going on in there. Because why did you say that? Because you said he's amazing 90% of the time. Well, 90% of the time, listen, to want to leave somebody who's amazing 90% of the time is something else that you're not adding in here. And then when you say, I know we're not all perfect, then you mentioned the morals and loyalty he was raised in. Yeah, he could have been raised in a family where having multiple women was a thing. So when you, and that's loyalty, he could have been raised in a home where whenever his dad cheated on his mama, she always took him back. So that was a thing. So there's a lot that you're not putting in this, but as far as abuse, what is your heart telling you to do? Because I'm not putting up with no abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. I'm not putting up with it, right? What does that mean? That means I'm going to show him I'm not putting up with it. Sometimes separation is an avenue to bring things back together because you said you are so in love. If you're so in love, you're asking this question, you want to save it, but you don't really know. It's like, dang, like I'm this man's everything. We got to figure something out. I can't be your everything. And he can't be your everything. Listen, support groups. I'm gonna always say that besides praying, because that can be very difficult while you're going through it. So you need somebody to support you through this, and then you need to get away from the house. If he is always abusing you while you're at the house, don't stay in that house. do some things that is purpose driven, you know? Sometimes separation brings couples back together. I know one of the best things that happened in my marriage when it was first starting out, I was against it at first, but my husband, he also travels for work. He has some other things that he does at home, but he has another job where he travels. And I used to fight that in the early parts of our marriage. But when I realized, like, hey, this brief time of separation, it actually makes us miss each other more. It makes us think about, you know, how we may have taken each other for granted. You know, it makes us think about how we need to value each other more when we're in each other's presence. So, to a married couples who are suffering, not necessarily with infidelity, but even with infidelity, try a period of separation to see if that can bring you back together. The point is not to end it. The point is to see, is this working? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But as you pray and seek guidance from God, as you have mentors, counselors who can help guide you in the right direction, you will see what you should do for your marriage. Y'all, I want to thank you so, so much for giving me these awesome questions. It's so many more questions. I'm so sorry that I have not been able to um look, just show you the different questions, but I've been doing this other segment. I wish y'all was able to watch it. Like, I really do. But I didn't put the recording up here for y'all to watch. But it's called The Other Woman, and it will be on next week. So make sure you tune in. You can watch it from YouTube. You can watch it from the Relationship Advice for Women group. I have so many different groups, y'all. It will be pinned to the top post at 8:45 p.m. on every Thursday. It even airs on LinkedIn. Look, catch it. If you haven't watched it now, catch it. And thank y'all so, so, so much once again for submitting your questions. I am constantly taking questions, and the questions are good. So remember, if you want to skip the front of the line with your question, make sure you inbox me your specific question because the list is very long. Until next time, guys. Bye bye.